personally mean to you? And in a world where customer loyalty is getting harder to earn, how do you get that mindset shift and what doing support right means? What does it look like?
Yeah. So it's funny. Happy to help is such a often used phrase in the customer support world. And so much so that it loses its meaning sometimes. You know, you say, hey, I'm happy to help, but is there any happiness behind that phrase? And so when someone comes to us with a technical question about podcasting, I am excited that I get to positively impact their day.
Why do so many businesses say they value great support but fall short in really delivering it? What's your thought on that?
I think we live in a society where we really live to work, right? And we really focus on getting as much out of the people on our team as possible. And there's this idea that burnout is inevitable, and in some cases it's rewarded, right? Like if you stay late with the boss, then you're going to get the raise. But if you don't stay late, you're not showing loyalty to the company. And the burnout is like almost a reward.
How does the technology impact what we're talking about? Because it can solve for some of the burnout, yet many companies are throwing technology at the problem, and that's not enough.
Yeah, I think with AI, it's all about how you use it. And it makes sense to me that people are nervous about it. It makes sense to me that people, especially in the customer service world, because we are often seen as a necessary part of the company, but not necessarily a valuable part of the company. And so when AI comes out, it's this idea of, it can replace this job that we don't really need to have because a robot can do it just as well as a human. And I think what you miss there is the relationship side of it. And so it makes sense to me that AI would scare some people.
Welcome, Priscilla, to the DoingCXRight show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I am happy to have you to talk about happy to help and so much more. But before we get deep into the conversation, please tell people, who are you? What do you do for a living?
Yeah. So I am the head of podcaster success for Buzzsprout. We are a podcast hosting service. So we work with podcasters all day, every day. I lead a team of people who love helping podcasters succeed. And so I get to spend my days with them, encouraging podcasters who are maybe a little nervous as they get started, and then being there to motivate them as they might go through like a dip where they're questioning whether they should continue their podcast. And so that's really fun. And it's been really fun to work in this industry over the last 10 years and watch podcasting really just explode and become a mainstay in our conversations day to day. And then on top of that, I host my own podcast under the Buzzsprout umbrella called Happy to Help. And it is a customer support podcast that really focuses on the joys of offering customer support and remarkable experiences. And my goal with it is that it will help encourage people to make remarkable customer support experiences the standard and not the exception, so that when people reach out to support, they know that they're going to get treated really, really, really well. And to just remind anyone who works in customer support that there's a lot of fun and joy to be had in this industry. And so, yeah, it's what I spend my day doing, and I just love it.
Well, for people listening, they might be saying, Stacy, why are we talking about podcasting? And my answer is, we're not, but we are. So
yes.
The topic is really about the customer success role, customer service. It happens to be, Priscilla is in a podcasting company, and the blend of that is really exciting to me as a podcaster. But I want people to understand that we're talking about the meaning and the role within every company. It's not just specific to podcasting world.
Yes, absolutely. But
So
there will be an air of podcasting in it, because that's just what I'm in all day. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I believe it's an incredible branding tool, and that's a different show, a different day in terms of marketing and podcast success, and how it has been my my baby that I've been growing up for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about definition first of all.
Sure.
Happy to help. It's not just a phrase, it's a philosophy. And what does that personally mean to you? And in a world where customer loyalty is getting harder to earn, how do you get that mindset shift and what doing support right means? What does it look like?
Yeah. So it's funny. Happy to help is such a often used phrase in the customer support world. And so much so that it loses its meaning sometimes. You know, you say, hey, I'm happy to help. But is there any happiness behind that phrase? At some point, does that go away? And I was on a plane last year, and I was telling someone about the podcast. It was, random, and it came up in conversation. And I said, it's called Happy to Help. And she goes, but are you happy to help? And I was like, yes, I am happy to help. And that is what I think makes such a big difference in the support you're offering your customers. And so when you talk about what is happy to help to me, it really is as simple as being actually happy to work with people and actually happy to help whatever customers you're helping. And so it is really a mindset shift, right? It's the idea that the people you're working with are real people. They're not just emails in a queue or a blinking dot on a phone that you answer. It's a real person coming with their own history to you, and you are a real person who gets to work with them and positively impact their day on whatever scale it is that your product is, right? So for us, it's podcasting. And so when someone comes to us with a technical question about podcasting, I am excited that I get to positively impact their day. And I think, we think a lot about these big world changer jobs of like, they work in politics, they can make big impacts on the world, or they work in nonprofit, they can do these big humanitarian things. And you think, oh man, I work in customer support. It's not, I'm helping people, but it's not making a big difference. But the fact of the matter is our days are what make up our lives. And so when you are positively impacting someone else's day, even on just a scale of someone not being able to log into an account, you're making a positive impact. That is what affects their life over time. And so that is just what happy to help means to me, right? It's the idea that I am excited, that I want the people on my team to be excited, that I want anyone who works in customer support to be excited about the impact that they can have on anyone who writes in to their support team.
So why do so many businesses say they value great support but fall short in really delivering it? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think we live in a society where we really live to work, right? And we really focus on getting as much out of the people on our team as possible. And there's this idea that burnout is inevitable, and in some cases it's rewarded, right? Like if you stay late with the boss, then you're going to get the raise. But if you don't stay late, you're not showing loyalty to the company. And the burnout is like almost a reward to give you the next step. And I think that when that's the way we think about work and the people on our team, it's not going to reflect in happy, healthy people working on your team that can then turn around and do happy, healthy support for your customers. And so when companies say we really value customer support and really great, remarkable support, but then they don't turn and treat their employees in a way that enables those employees to do that above and beyond work, that's where the connection is missed, right? It's the idea that in order to give out empathy and patience and kindness as a support professional, you have to get that from other people in your life. And that should come from your leadership, or should come from the company that you're working for. And I think that disconnect is why a lot of companies don't successfully offer really wonderful, happy support, because what they're running into is people that are overworked, undervalued, but expected to offer these really highly personalized relationship building experiences to customers.
So now AI is here. It's not coming, it's here.
Yes.
How does that affect the happy to help philosophy, because people are anxious about AI.
Yeah.
So how does the technology impact what we're talking about? Because it can solve for some of the burnout, yet many companies are throwing technology at the problem, and that's not enough.
Yeah, I think with AI, it's all about how you use it. And it makes sense to me that people are nervous about it. It makes sense to me that people, especially in the customer service world, because we are often seen as a necessary part of the company, but not necessarily a valuable part of the company. And so when AI comes out, it's this idea of, oh, it can replace this job that we don't really need to have because a robot can do it just as well as a human. And I think what you miss there is the relationship side of it. And so it makes sense to me that AI would scare some people. But what I feel like I'm seeing a lot of in the customer service world is the idea that AI should be a tool that we use to help make us more efficient, to allow us to give these more personalized and these tailored responses and experiences to different customers. And so it can work alongside this idea of being happy to help someone, being excited about the impact you can have on someone. If AI can come and help that, make that more efficient, it can help with the burnout. Like you were saying, it can help with that aspect of the role that feels grating over time, but we have to use it smart. We have to be really intentional about how we use it.
Yes. And so an example where we're talking about, it's the blend. And so if a customer is saying, I need help, and it's telling the chatbot over and over, agent, help, then it's got to be well designed that the technology knows this is time to get a human involved and bring the human, and the human doesn't have to ask the customer to repeat the problem.
Yeah. And I would even go a step farther and say the customer shouldn't even have to say representative more than one time. There should be a link at all times in your face where you can say, hey, I actually don't want to talk to a bot. I want to talk to Shirley on the support team. I've talked to her in the past. I know she's helpful. I don't want to go through this bot at all because I have a relationship with Shirley and I want to ask her a question because I trust her. That's what I want. I think AI can be really great when you're like, hey, I know that someone probably isn't working right now, so I'm going to use this bot and try to get this answer really quickly, or I'm going to go look through this great help article and try to figure this out on my own. But sometimes you do just want to talk to a human, and I don't want any barriers in front of that. I want a team that's sitting there and excited. They're like, yes, Stacy reached out, and now I get to help Stacy do this thing and hopefully be a bright part of her day and make her day better. Maybe it's been tough this morning because it's been really technical, and now she's writing in. I don't want her to have to feel at all that she has to go through bot prompts before she gets to a human, unless she wants to, unless that's what she's cool with. You know what I mean? So that's what I like the idea of AI. I like it making us better at the work we do. I just don't want it to be a roadblock to getting to a real person.
Absolutely. And that's intentionally designed.
Yeah.
That's where the work I do with journey mapping and journey management, where does the tech and where does the human come in through those touch points? So customer success, customer experience, customer service, there's all these different roles.
So
and
many.
things, right? Your role is what at Buzzsprout?
So I think if you're putting it in the labels, you would say customer support. But we call it podcaster success. And it is because of that mindset that we have here at Buzzsprout. That is, we are trying to make our podcasters successful. That is what drives us as people. And so we could say support, but it didn't feel like support was an accurate reflection of the work we're doing every day because we focus so much on that relationship building and knowing the people who are using our product and letting them know us. And so that success is really more what we're focused on. Is podcasting can be a really hard, you probably know it can be a really hard thing to do. A lot of times you're doing it by yourself, and then you're editing by yourself, and then you post it and you wait and you hope people leave a comment, or you hope someone leaves a review or they share something, but you really don't have that immediate response like you would if you were speaking at a conference, right? And so it can be a really solo experience. And we want to be the team of people that you come to when you need that encouragement or celebration. We're not necessarily only going to be there to answer your technical questions. We are also going to be there to review your episodes and to give you the encouragement that you need when you're trying to figure out how to launch your podcast. And I think that that is a step above what you could consider just like a run-of-the-mill support team. We really want to come at it from a place of, we get to help people, and we use podcasting as the way we get to do that. But as people on the success team, that's what we really want to do. We want to make people successful.
I think it's an important lesson for people listening here because, one, don't get too hung up on titles.
Yeah.
It's the role, it's the accountability to make your customers successful and a culture of happy to help, right?
Yeah.
It's both. And so I think it's important because so many people get hung up on that role definition and the title. And I can't say enough how whatever role you have in the company, you have a customer experience role.
Yes.
And so own it and do it. One of the challenges that I see in typical customer success roles is there's this quota. You've got to upsell, cross-sell. So you got to... There's this roadblock that gets in the way of helping versus, oh my gosh, I got to make this quota. What's your view on that?
Because now I'm selling and I'm helping. And so it doesn't feel quite as authentic as it would be if you were just helping. Yeah, I think we are a pretty small company. And so we don't have a traditional success team. You know, we have a marketing team and then we have the support team that we call ourselves the success team. But it's not, we have our role is to take care of existing customers. And sometimes taking care of an existing customer means that they stay on a smaller plan and that they don't get pushed to a larger plan. Or we show them how to turn off a feature that's not helping them and save a couple dollars each month. Because we have relationships with our customers, it makes it more impactful. And sometimes what that means is that you say, hey, you don't need this, and I don't want you to pay for something you don't need. And so it's a luxury, I think, here at Buzzsprout that we aren't being pushed to upsell, that we aren't being pushed to, cross and add add-ons and all of these things. We really take care of the customer. And for some customers, that's going to mean that a free plan is the right choice for them. And for some customers, it's going to mean a bigger plan. But our goal is to support them wherever they are instead of trying to get them to, move to the next plan, even if they don't need that. Now, the marketing team might have a completely different role, but because they're on the marketing team, they get to focus on that side. And we get to focus on relationship building and having that authentic communication with our customers. And sometimes that means that you're not the right product for someone, and we have to be okay with letting someone go if that is going to help them be a better podcaster down the road.
A beautiful example, because this is not about the price. Even like you said, if you need to be on the free plan because it works for you, that's what you're going to offer your customer.
Right.
And if they love it and they have more needs, they're going to figure out that they need the higher price plan because they trust you in the relationship.
Right. Yeah. Because you're going to build these loyal customers when they don't feel like they're constantly being pushed to upsell or to upgrade or whatever it is. They're going to go, man, I actually feel like I know this person that I'm talking to in support. And now I've really start to like this product because I've put these faces with it. And now I want to be better at my podcast, or I want to try out this new feature that they just launched that might be a couple extra dollars a month. Yeah.
Yes. Now, caution is that, like where you work, you do have marketing teams and sales teams and support teams. And so marketing has to be very careful. And this is where the journey management comes in and bring everybody together. Because if they come out with a promotion and the support team didn't know about it, that's a big disconnect where the customer will get frustrated.
Yes. And I will say over and over and over and over and again, communication is so important between your support team and all of your other teams. If you look at, traditionally when I look at support teams, one of the bigger complaints or frustrations that I hear from people in support is that they don't have communication with these other teams and they don't know what's going on and they're siloed off on their own. And it's so dangerous to do that. One, because you lose the value that your support teams bring to your product. They are talking with your customers every day. They have so much incredible insight from talking to customers that they can share with the rest of the team, that they can share with the marketing team that will help the marketing team be better, that they can share with the product team that will help the product be better. But if you don't have that communication, you miss out on that. And it's a two-way street. So you miss it from the insights that you can get from your support team, but your support team then misses it from your other teams and they lose information, like they don't get information like that about this new promotion that's going out. And then that can make that team feel undervalued and not important to the product. And then what does that lead to? It leads to burnout. It leads to frustration and resentment building and high turnover. And it doesn't lead to a healthy environment where people are happy and excited to help customers because they're not being showed the respect that they're expecting or that they're expected to offer customers.
It's so intertwined. And that's why I love this example. How do you know? How do you measure in your company, where you are and what you've seen others do, that you're actually making an impact, that happy to help is really what the customer feels?
Yeah. So one of the ways that I like to measure it is just constantly checking in with my team about their health, right? Your employee health. So how are you feeling about the work you're doing? Are you excited to come in and work today, or are you feeling drained? And if you're feeling drained, we need to figure out a way to help you rebuild that patience and all of the things that you need. So maybe it's, hey, you're not taking your PTO, or you're not going outside often enough. You're staying cooped up in your house for, 4 hours at a time, and you haven't gone outside to see the sun. And you really need to do that. It's important for your mental health, right? So I like to check in on employee health and really see how that's going and how my creating of an environment for them to work is affecting that. And then I also think it's really important to establish your values as a team together. Say, this is what it means for us to be happy to help. This is what it means for us to have successful, remarkable support. And define that with your team. Sit down and do it together as a team so that everyone has buy-in. And then you can build a rubric or some kind of a review metric to look at that. So for us, we want to make sure that all of the emails that we're sending to customers are human, they're accurate, they're educational, and they're clear. Those are the 4 things that we measure against. And so we do email reviews consistently, going over our reviews and going over our emails and really matching them up with the values that we've set from the beginning and keeping that top of mind. That's probably the most consistent way that we measure this and see the happy to help. And another way you see it is you hear it from your customers, right? They'll say something like, oh my gosh, it really sounds like you're excited to email me. We literally had someone reach out and say, I don't know what it is about you guys, but every time I write in, it just feels like you're excited to talk to me. And I'm like, it's because we are excited to talk to you. And when you hear that from someone, you're doing the right thing. And so I think, really taking customer feedback about your work, that can be a really helpful way. It's obviously not the only way to measure this kind of a thing, but having a rubric in place that lines up with your values can be really helpful as well.
And as a customer experience professional, I encourage people to take the feedback from your support teams, as well as social media, as well as rating and review sites, as well as your contact form on your website and your surveys, and aggregate it, because in totality, it gives you the full picture of what your customers feel, believe, say about you, and that defines your future decisions. So love that you brought that up. It is so important, yet you need to aggregate it with the whole ecosystem.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. People are saying stuff about your product everywhere, and you want to find that and pull it all together. Absolutely.
Future trends as support roles evolve. What do you think the future is? Again, because we live in a tech world, do you see customer success roles changing, evolving, going away? Any prediction?
I think what we're going to see is a highly tailored, highly personalized service. I think that a lot of companies are going to bring AI into the picture when it comes to customer experience and customer support. And the ones that are able to bring it in and keep that human touch, those are going to be the companies that come out on top. Because as we have more bots and more, you make a phone call and you're not sure if you're talking to a person or you're talking to a robot, I think you're going to get to a place where the people who have easy access to human interaction are going to succeed. Doesn't mean you're not going to use AI, but I think having that balance, those people are going to be the ones that really have success in the role, or just when it comes to building those loyal customers, right? Because they know they can talk to a person if they need to talk to a person. So I think this highly tailored, highly personal relationship is going to be what we see, at least in the more successful companies.
The keyword is balance. And I believe balance in business, balance personally in our lives. It's the key word to all of this. Well, we're coming to the end, so kind of rapid fire questions before we end.
Sure.
Leadership advice. What is the best that you've received or given to help in the business?
So what I think about when I think about advice is early on when I was leading this team, one of the partners here at Buzzsprout reminded me just kind of offhand to, always focus on positive feedback too. Like, don't forget positive feedback. And I was like, oh, I don't think I put as much emphasis when I'm with my team about what they do really well. And so what I've really tried to do over the last couple years as a leader of a team, especially a team of people that I want to really be excited about the work they're doing, is to celebrate the wins, to be really, really specific about what they did really well. And when someone when someone sends an email that matches up with the value that we hold, I want to make a ton of noise about that in front of everyone at the company. And so that's such a fun piece of advice to get and to give, is to make noise about the good stuff. When something goes really well, do not let it go unnoticed, because that positive reinforcement is so, so motivating to people on your team.
100% love that. Absolutely. And what's the one final takeaway you want people to go do today?
I want people, when they think about their work in customer support, which can often feel not that important, I want them to remember that they are impacting another person's day, that their work is directly either going to have a positive impact or a negative impact on the person that they're working with. So when you go and answer your next email in the queue or the next time you answer the phone, I want you to remember that the person you're talking to, you can have a positive impact on their day. That's your job. And as customer support professionals, we get to do it over and over and over and over and over again. If you answer 200 tickets a day, you're getting to talk to 200 people that you can make their life better. That's a huge responsibility, really, because the way we spend our days is the way we spend our lives. And so we can really have that huge impact on people, even if it's just in a little email or a quick phone call. So that's what I would say to anyone. Take that mindset and really think about how your work is going to impact people and hold that with the responsibility that it deserves.
And for those listening who are not in a contact center or customer service role, support role, I want you to understand that if you're in IT, HR, marketing, you still have internal customers.
Yeah.
And so the same applies whether it's the internal or the external. If you're back office, frontline, this is all very relevant. So I want to make that clarification, people understanding that.
Yeah, it's a trickle down, right? Because the way you treat your customer or way you treat your team is going to impact the way they treat your customers. So it is every single role in the product, whether it's a service, product, whatever it is, wherever you're working, you have the ability to make other people's day better.
And my last question about you.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time to your younger 20-year-old self, based on what you know now, what would you tell the younger Priscilla?
I would tell her she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, that there are so many people who have experience doing the work that I want to do really well, and that I can go find those communities, and that it's not cheating if you take someone else's really good idea and try to apply it in your life. I think for a while in my 20s, I thought I have to come up with the cool idea, and I have to be the one that is, thinks of it first. And that's not the case. There are so many people like yourself who know how to do this work really, really well, and we can learn from each other, and we can really take that. The way that you do something or approach a problem might not be the exact same way that I need to do it, but I can take that and I can mold it and I can make it my own. So I think I would tell that Priscilla, hey, you don't have to have the best answers for everything. You can learn from people around you who have really cool ideas and experiences and let that affect how you do your work.
Beautifully said. Absolutely truthful, and I love it. And thank you so much for being on my show. And I'll put in the show notes all the ways to reach you. And thank you.
Thank you so much.